I was sitting back there, and it seemed like the whole service began to dwell upon, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but we dwelling upon storms and how things get messed up in our lives. Your pastor made a moment ago mention about America and the decline of America, and I began to think back, and I remembered a time in my childhood or in my younger life. I'm not very old, but I was headed deer hunting. And how many knows that the woods look completely different at 6 o'clock in the morning than they do when you went in the day before to scout it out? And I knew exactly where I was going. I'd already been there. And I knew where it was at. I'd found my place, and I'd placed my stand and had it all figured. I knew where I could shoot at, and I'd had plenty of room around me. But the next morning at about 6 o'clock, and it was dark, and the light wasn't on, I was headed back through the woods, and I couldn't find my stand. What I ended up doing, and this might make sense to some of you might have to wait till the end of the message, but I decided I'd turn around and go back in the direction I come from, because obviously I didn't end up in the right place. And if I could get back to where I started, I could give it another shot. I didn't do quite the best thing the first time. I didn't get to the spot I wanted to be in, but if I could get back to the spot I started, I'd have another chance to get to where I wanted to go. And I'm not really sure where God is going to exactly take us, but I do know I was listening to how America is declining. I've been thinking about it a lot in the last few days, and matter of fact, I wrote a few things down right before I come here, and if I can find them, I'll explain you the decline of America just a little bit. It says in most of the people, the majority of all Americans in the past 60 years believe that the quality of life in America has declined. It says in 1940, I read this out of an article, 1940, the biggest problem in school was running in the hall, chewing gum, and talking in class. But today we have problems like robbery, rape, alcohol, drugs, teen pregnancy, and suicide. I believe things have changed. And I love change because God has done a whole lot of it in here, but there's some things that shouldn't change. It says, since 1960, violent crimes have risen 560%. Illegitimate births have risen 400%. Teen suicides, 200%. The divorce rate has more than quadrupled. The average SAT score has dropped 80 points. And children living in fatherless homes, it's more than 3 times it was just a little over 50 years ago. How America has changed. There may be more money in some of our bank accounts. And we may drive nicer cars than our grandparents did. And we may do more things than what those that come before us did. But I'm wondering if they had something that we don't have. Amen. And I began to study, and I've been just infatuated with Bethel. And God has given me a message. It's none of my own knowledge or wisdom, but God has given me something about getting back to Bethel. Amen. And everybody, I know your pastor, I know you all know what Bethel means. It means, in the Hebrew tongue, the house of God. Amen. Bethel. We know that. And now, granted, I'm sure you got a wonderful church here. I've visited here before and had wonderful services. But something has changed over the past 50 years. Oh, yeah. Amen. And maybe we can't turn America all the way around. But I believe if we could start with our home, and we could maybe move into the church and turn it around a little bit, and maybe in just our region, our community, if we can change some things, I believe it would help.